All right, cool. What's up, everyone? So we're back to a new live trading session. Today's Monday. The market just opened, and we're already in the trade right now with gold. We're currently in a gold sales right now. We have actually two position open. So we have one position open at 33.87, which is as of right now. It is currently running over 20 pips, and then we also have another entry which is set at the 33.84. So we're currently in some sales position right now. So I have an entry right here, 87, and then my stop loss is placed at 92, and then we're obviously targeting back to this previous lows, which is definitely going to be somewhere between here. We can look 33.55, or maybe somewhere even lower, which is going to be 33.45. So those are going to be the targets for the day that I'm most likely going to be targeting for these entire trades. As of right now, we have one limit that is active. Again, we're in 33.87. So let's check this out real quick, where it looks like we're trading back at entry. Yeah, so we're back at entry. Well, it's fine so far. I'm just gonna let the settle do its thing. We already started off the week. We had taken the trade actually during the London session, which we ended up taking some sales position. It was right over here, which ended up playing out. Was it this one? No, this was Friday trade. So we're looking at London session trade that I ended up taking a sell. It was somewhere between here, right? So we got active. We ended up playing out for 40 pips. Price action ended up flying even higher, taking us out of stop loss. So that one's going to be count as a loss, right? Now, the reason why we're going to be taking these sells here, well, once again, very simple. If we take a look at price action over a 1 hour time frame or intraday time frame, right, we can see that price action overall is trading underneath one of these areas of support, which is going to be somewhere between the 33.80, right, with the same exact zone that we've been going over since last week. And if you guys take a look, notice how last week we did get a perfect break and retest set up underneath these areas, which form a very nice solid area of supply zone, right? Supply zones is the areas that we're looking for sell opportunities, right? Now, if we take a look at market open yesterday, we did see a very huge gap towards the upside, tapping once again towards these areas of supply. Notice how price action once again rejected it. We had a very nice bearish reaction towards the downside, right? Now, if we take a look overall in the other picture, right, we can see that price action from last week, same exact thing that we've been going over since last week. We can see that price action came back towards these demand. Notice how it perfectly respected it, causing the market to push higher, forming new structures from obviously breaking underneath all of these structures over here, creating these lower lows, lower highs, to now breaking up above all of these structures, creating new higher highs and higher lows. But going again, right, so we broke above all of these structures. You guys noticed this were the last previous lower highs, right, trading underneath one of these areas of supports, right, again, an area of demand. Notice how price action broke above. We got the pullback towards these areas yesterday, or during the New York. No, this was during the London session, actually. Yeah. So during the London session of today's session, right, we end up coming back towards these zones, right? Notice how the price volume just picked up, respected these areas, and just continued pushing the market even higher, right? Now, I wasn't very interested in taking any buy position over here, just due to the fact that price action had respected these areas of supply, right? So I was just looking for the continuation of these sells. But obviously, these were some things that I did point out. Obviously, these were high risky sells. Again, due to the fact that we rejected off a main structure from a demand zone, we got a perfect break and retest above all of these entire structure. But during the London session, price action perfectly respected it, creating new structure, obviously, which is higher highs and higher lows, which is breaking off these sales positions, right? Now, my entry confirmation was just simply a pullback towards these other supply right over here, which is exactly where price action activate our trade. We end up hitting TP2, but obviously, again, our rules is always to go to break even at TP3. So price action just end up hitting TP2, disrespected this entire zone, started breaking above, taking us out at stop loss, right? Once again, pulling back towards these areas of supply. Notice how here during the New York session, we pulled back towards these. This happened here during the New York session open. We pulled back towards the supply. We did see 3 times rejection, right? One rejection here, another one here, and another one here, which obviously caused the market to push even lower, right? So we can see that overall, the supply zone over here, it is a very solid zone that price action, every time that it comes back towards these areas, we are seeing these type of reaction, right? So we had a New York session open here, which price action had a bearish reaction. Bearish reaction towards the outside, coming back towards these demand. Another bullish reaction, breaking above these New York highs, right? So all we did was simply pull back towards these supplies. We took above all of these we took above all of these highs here, took liquidity from all of these entire left side over here. Notice how price action from as soon as we broke above all of these highs, took above all of these liquidity. Notice how we started having a bearish reaction towards the downside, right? Entry confirmation here was just simply a pullback towards the zone. This is exactly where I entered the market. So we have one position open at the 33.84, which is above here, and we also have the other one at 33.87. So once again, just pull back towards supply, take above all of these New York high, grab liquidity from all the left side over here. We did see already a bearish reaction. We're just waiting for price action now to do its thing, right? Setup looks nice. We're just letting the market do its thing. As of right now, we are trading, we're trading at entry right now. Nothing really crazy has been going on. But let's see how price action plays out. I do like how so far the 5 minutes is just trading underneath these zones, which is good. Obviously, we just need price action to have a little bit more volume. It is 11 in the morning, so this is a very late entry for the New York session. So hopefully we do see more volume later on. So 87 and 92 was our entry. Or our stop loss was 92, and then we're going to target back all of these entire lows, which was, New York session open lows. We can also target down to the London session lows. If this plays out, notice the risk to reward. We are pretty much looking for a 1-6 risk to reward, which is a solid trade. So we're risking 50 pips to possibly catch over 300 plus pips. So let's see how this setup plays out. Again, we're still at entry. I'm actually going to set up an alarm. 84. So an 84, and then we're going to put up 92 just in case if it hits stop loss. So 33, 92. We're going to put messages here. We're going to put this as stop loss here, fortunately, but it is part of the game. So again, we have one loss so far from this week. We have taken a loss from the London session. If we lose this one, this is going to be 2 losses for the day. So we're most likely going to call it a day with gold. Now we're going to move forward to indices. I haven't marked up indices just yet. I did see that we did have a bullish reaction this morning. Overall, I got to do my analysis, my start of the week analysis. I got to go from a higher time frame to overall look at the bigger picture to have an idea exactly what we can expect for price action to have moves this entire next couple of days, right? We're already into a new week, so I'm very excited for this new week, especially after all of this thing that's been going on throughout the weekend. Yeah, so we got the pre-market one. We can see that both, we have the NASDAQ mini and we also have the Dow mini, that both of them did open up positive. We can see that Dow is positive over 100 plus, 116 points, and then the NASDAQ is positive 148 points, right? So far, this moves with both US 30 and the NAS 100. As of right now, NAS 100 is up 60%, and then US 30 is up 14%. Again, if we look here at US 30, notice how it's coming back towards the same exact zone, which we've been seeing rejection since last week, right? Same exact zone where we give buy 3 times. Notice those 3 times. Price action just keeps rejecting those upsides, rejects those upside, and we continue selling off, right? Which is not the idea. What we're looking for, since obviously we're looking for these buy position, but again, notice how we just continue rejecting off these supplies, showing us that these supplies here is holding very, very nice. Again, if we're looking at it from a 4-hour structure, we can also see that overall price action is trading underneath these lows over here, right? So we are trading underneath these lows over here, which price action once again pulled back. This was Monday of last week. Same exact sell position that we end up taking. Rejected off all of these entire broken structure from a higher time frame. Notice how price just came back here, pulled up towards these supplies. Where they see those rejection, those lower time frames switch the structure, and that's exactly where we took the sells. Now the buy position that we've been attempting, again, if we look at it from a higher time frame perspective, we're just having bounce from these major demand zone over here, and we're just having the same exact setup entry, right? Just rejection from a major zones, bounce plays, and we're just looking for those break and retests underneath those lower time frames, right? But again, we attempted these zone 3 times in a row. The first 2 we did end up hitting just TP2 and then end up hitting stop loss. The other one we end up hitting at least TP4, but price action failed to push even higher, so that one's going to be called out as a break-even trade. As of right now, we can see that in the New York session, we pull back towards the same exact zone from Friday New York session, and we're seeing the same exact rejection, right? But again, we're seeing the same rejection from a higher time frame demand, which is going to be right over here at the 42.50, right? So let's go in here in the 4-hour structure. This is the 4. Let's go back to the daily. Yeah, so again, we're having the same exact bounce from these zones that price action has been holding, right? So the last couple of buy setups that we've been taking has been based off the same exact setup plan, right? Just rejection of these lows over here, which is the 42.050. We see those bounces from the major zones, right? We're just waiting for price action to have the switch of structures from those lower time frame. But again, since we are trading underneath these low previous H4 structures over here, showing us that the supply is holding very nice, then again, we're seeing these type of selling opportunities, right? So as of right now, there is nothing clear that we are, nothing visible that looks clean for us to take some sales opportunity. As of right now, I do like how price action, again, we're trading above these demand zone over here. If you guys notice, this entire structure is just simply creating these new highs and lows. So obviously we can see the market overall, as of right now, we are in a short-term buy position. Definitely gonna keep my eyes around these lows. Abroad these zones is over here. So we do see that price action breaks above these zones, then again we are gonna be more interested in looking for buys. As of right now, we are coming back to retest above all of these entire London highs over here. Which price action as of right now, we are forming a very nice demand. Nothing clean just yet for a buy position. Again, we have to be careful since price action once again rejected off these supplies, right? These over here are creating very nice higher highs and higher low structures, but no clear sign for us to continue giving buys an opportunity. So as of right now, what I'm going to be waiting for, since we are retesting above, well, since we are rejecting above these London highs over here, price action is just perfect as a demand. Um, Here's the thing what we're going to do. I mean, it looks solid. We have rejection from this demand. Let me see how this trade. Here's another thing to point out too on the daily time frame, right? The dailies, the past couple dailies, notice how the candles has been closing just very undecisive, and no candle closure either above or no candle closure underneath. It's just showing that price action is just having rejection from supply, rejection from demand. We're just simply seeing these bounce up and down plays, right? Obviously the idea for here on the daily time frame or higher time frame will be better obviously if price action has those type of breakouts, right? Again, we're just trading projecting off these things, so we're basically trading off a range. I say this range is over here from this point over here, basically trading around a 400 point ranges where price action is just bouncing up and down, right? Rejection from supply, we're seeing those sells. Rejection from the demand, we are seeing these buys, right? So obviously it's going to be very, I wouldn't say hard, I would say more patient that we will need at this point over here, since again we're seeing rejection both sides. Again, the market is very undecisive. We are getting clean price action on a lower time frame, but since we are rejecting off these higher time frame structures, it's kind of, we can say hard or we can say kind of undecisive for us to actually make a quick decision. We obviously would need to wait for price action to start forming those type of price action that we're looking for, right? So if we're looking for sell opportunity, we're just waiting for price action to form those sales opportunity. But again, notice how there's no clear structure. We're looking for buy opportunity. There is clear structure, but we are trading underneath a higher time frame structures, which is over here, which is going to make it very difficult, not difficult, going to make it very risky for us to be entering these buys, since still we are rejecting off these major supplies. So obviously we're waiting for a little bit more structure to form to give us a good opportunity to tell us, hey, buyers are more interested in taking the market than sellers are more interested, right? So we're going to be patient. We're just trading above these London highs over here, which is definitely something to definitely keep an eyes on. And then since we are already rejecting off these supply zones over here, we're looking for a, let's see, since we already had a 1 minute break of structure, definitely will be somewhere between, I would say right here, we have this nice supply zone here. This 1 minute supply right here. This can definitely be in other areas of interest. We're going to have to see how both zones react. So let's see. Both zones to react. So the possibility for today's market, what we can possibly look for. Okay, we are perfect rejecting above these London highs. As long as price action can come back towards these zones, maintain itself above these areas of interest, I'm giving buy an opportunity. Now, if price action comes back, just takes off from here and comes back towards these zones, and we're seeing that price action is rejecting and trading underneath, we can give sell an opportunity, or we can also wait for price action to break underneath these current lows, wait for the break and retest setup underneath these zones over here, obviously the same exact way that we enter the market, and then we can give sell an opportunity, right? So we're looking at this zones over here, and we're also looking at these areas of interest. Those are going to be the zones that we're going to be looking for, either buy or sell opportunity. If the market just starts taking off from these zones and disrespecting all of these entire areas, again, we're just simply going to be reacting and adapt, and we're going to be waiting for the break and retest above these current highs as of right now. That's going to be for US 30. We're going to wait for price action to come towards these zones. So let's see what happens. We're going to go into the gold market. Let's see what's up with NAS 100. Oh, it looks very, very similar to US 30. Whenever the market, especially right now with all of these news events going on, the market, tends to trade between a ranges from a higher time frame structures, right? So we're looking at this from a higher time frame structure. We can clearly see that it's been trading inside ranges, right? You guys can clearly see all of these ranges over here. No clear direction telling us, hey, price is going to continue pushing higher, or hey, price is going to continue pushing lower, right? So whenever there is the type of market structure, this is where obviously it requires us to be very patient, because you guys saw it from last week. We got manipulated 2 times in a row looking for those buy positions, right? Although we were right with our long-term, our buy position, We were wrong with the entry again, since we enter a market where a lot of manipulation was happening in the market, so we entered the wrong spot. We were right looking for the direction, but again we entered the wrong spot because again we need to be patient around these zones over here due to the fact that price action just continues rejecting from a higher time frame structure up and down, right? So those are going to be zones where price action is definitely having all of those manipulations. So those are zones to keep an eyes on for the day. So we're going to go here. We can see that price action is overall trading above these entire structures over here, which was again at one point an area supply. As of right now, we're holding perfectly as an area of demand zone, right? Perfect zones over here, which showing us that buyers are continue holding these levels, right? Overall. So we're looking at it from a bigger picture. You guys can obviously the daily structure. We're completely bullish with this entire market, right? Still trading above these entire daily structure, previous daily highs, broke above, breaking retest. Again, look, daily highs here, flip to a daily lows over here, holding it perfectly above, showing us that buyers are still in control, right? Let's look at the overall picture. I believe this was market session open yesterday. So this was yesterday, exactly. We pull back towards these demand. What do we see? A perfect rejection towards these demand, right? Now we start seeing the market started having the shift to structure. Obviously, we go down to a lower time frame, looks a little bit better. Market structure shift. We had this entire previous lows over here, which market broke out. We're currently trading above these London highs, I believe. So yeah, so we're trading above these London highs. We do have the pullback here during these London lows, which price action just simply came back to retest. This were the Asian session highs over here. It's from yesterday market open, which price action kind of formed an area of demand where we can see we just grab liquidity towards these entire lows over here to continue pushing the market higher. We have those rejection from the VWAP as well. Right now, let's see where price is overall rejecting off. So this will be consider, yeah, I would say this zone over here. Same exact zone, I believe. This is a little bit choppy from here. Same exact story as US30. So I would say it would be this zone here. We can say sharp 21,800. 21,800. Yeah, the 4 hour. Yeah, definitely that 21,800 zone. Look at that. Look in the 4 hour structure. Coming back towards the 21,800. Attempts to break above. Fails, grab liquidity from all of the supply, sell off. Another push towards here, attempt to break, fail, grab liquidity from all of this left side, failed, starts trading underneath, right? Just very simple, trading underneath these zones of supply, just simply reaction from these areas. So again, this is where we need to be patient, since again, we're still trading underneath the structure. We are seeing some bullish structure earlier from this New York session, but overall, we're still trading underneath a higher time frame structure, which kind of makes it a little bit tricky for us to come up with an idea. Again, this is very undecisive. So this is where we need to wait for price action to pull back towards these levels, right? So these are the levels where I'm interested in either buying the market, or if price action breaks underneath, then we're going to simply flip our buys and we're going to start looking for a sell opportunities, right? Definitely want price action to come back to retest these entire structure over here. This was the London highs. So London highs is marked up over here. We do have rejection of these Asian lows over here, which is definitely a nice zone over here to look for another buy opportunity. But overall, if we look at it from a 4 hour structure, let's see where this is trading. We can say I mean, honestly, it does look good to be entering a buy position. We can actually enter a buy position with this one. Let's see first. Hold on, let's just wait for price action to come here. But yeah, I think this looks good for buy opportunity. Again, these are risky. It just turns me off how we just continue rejecting off these supplies. I do like this entire market structure form, but we got to be very patient because again, this might be just grabbing liquidity from all of these highs over here, taking above all of these London highs, and then we can start shifting structures. This is where we need to be a little bit more patient and just wait for it to actually form. As you see, we are having a bounce play from these zones, so let's just wait. Damn. So we have currently down right now. So we're up. Well, we're not up right now. We're currently down $183 with these sales over here. $160. So let's see. Hopefully we don't get stopped out with this position. So we're still in a drawdown. Let's see. Hopefully we're gonna get stopped out with this trade. Hopefully not. But yeah, well, look at NAS, we're having already the bounce from the areas of interest. Again, these bounds can be manipulated bounds because again, we're following structure. It looks too good. But since we are trading underneath this entire H4 structure, then this is where we can either see price faking above all of these highs over here, grabbing all of this liquidity to just pull back toward a lower time frame break of structure, to then break underneath these entire higher time frame structure to start forming these new lower lows, lower high structure where we can possibly be looking for sales opportunities, right? So this is what I like to wait for. I never like to enter off the market off the second pullback. I always like to wait for price action to have a bigger rejection or bigger reaction from a higher time frame structure, which gives me more, more room to find more areas of interest for me to be looking for either buy opportunity or a sell opportunity, right? Because we could have entered right away from this exact supply zone, but the only thing that kind of turns it off, again, because we are still trading from this entire bullish structure, that's the only thing that kind of turns it off. We could have probably taken the sell since we have seen that price action multiple times in the past already had a sell opportunity towards these zones. But since we are still forming new higher highs and higher low structures over here, it is very, obviously, it is very, I would say, very high risk, very dumb kind of to enter the market right away, especially after having those rejection from the supply. Me personally, I will always like to wait for price action to have a bigger reaction from a higher time frame structure. So since we're trading underneath, above these entire highs over here, if I'm looking for sales, I'm waiting for price action to break underneath here. I'm not going to be looking at somewhere between here since we are still trading above these obviously high. Yes, we can probably see those obviously sniper entry, which enters the market very quick. But so obviously we're looking for a higher quality or higher probability setup. We're obviously waiting for those higher time frame structures to start having the shift. So as of here, we are retesting above these highs, which as of right now, price action is having a bullish reaction from. Still no confirmation for us to enter a buy. So we're going to be waiting for here. This is just one tap. It's not even a full tap. This is pretty much gapping above these areas of interest. But we have these lows. I say definitely we maintain itself. If we maintain itself above 71, 21,750, 21,750 above it, then we can give buy an opportunity. I have to be above these zones here, above all of these lows over here. We need to be trading above it. If we're above it, I'm looking for those buys. If we're still trading underneath, between these zones over here, I'm not looking for any setup. That's going to be for the NAS 100 and then US 30. I think US 30 is already having the pullback towards the areas of interest. Yeah, so right now, we're pulling back towards these areas of interest. So this is where we need to be careful and just wait for those price action to form. All right, so check this out. So here is the analysis that I'm going to send out the Telegram. So price start off the week, we had a clean rejection from the 4,200, 42,050 demand zone where buyer stepped in, pushed price above 300 points, right? The same exact zone that we've been rejecting off the past couple of days, right? Same zone that we've been going over and over again since last week. This entire demand zone, right? The reason why we continue giving buys and opportunities, right? And then it broke above the 42,300, a key support level, which is the same exact areas of interest that we're looking for, right? Check this out. This is going to be the 42,300 level, this entire red line. Notice how in the previous price action, we did have reaction from these levels, both sides, in area of support, areas of resistance. We've been seeing that price action has been trading either above or trading underneath, right? As of right now, since we did have a clear break above these structures, we're coming back to retest these entire zone. Again, it aligns with the London highs as well. So if right now price is sitting just at the areas of interest, 42,300 slash the London highs, waiting for price action to have a reaction around this area for a setup. If price can break above, around the 42,320, 42,350, we may see the continuation toward the upside, or if price action breaks underneath, we're going to be looking for the continuation towards the downside, right? So the buy zone, again, if we hold above the 42,300, 42,320, shows a clean bullish structure. We're looking for buys. If the sell opportunity breaks underneath the 42,250, closes underneath and forms some bearish signs, then we're going to be looking for a sell opportunities, right? So this is definitely going to be for US 30. If we take a look at what market action is doing right now, we're still trading underneath. So this is no clear sign for us to enter a buy position just yet or a sell. So we're just currently retesting this zone. We already had a bullish reaction. This point over here, again, this is where I was telling you guys earlier. This is where a lot of manipulation can happen, right? Since we already had a rejection towards the supply, this is where we got caught 2 times in a row. We already have seen this type of manipulation, right? So obviously we are aware of what price action can do around these zones over here. So most likely what we're going to do is pretty much clear off all of these entire lows over here. This is exactly what price action might grab all of these entire liquidity to coming back and retest these demand zones over here. So we might see a rejection towards these demand for price action to break above, maintain itself above these areas of interest, and that's exactly what I'm going to be looking for, those buying opportunities, right? So right now we're just waiting for this entire liquidity to grab. It is lunchtime, so we might see the market be very slow, especially with the indice market. So nothing has formed clearly for us to enter the market just yet. So let's stay patient still. The 30-minute hasn't closed yet. 15-minute hasn't closed either. So let's see how the market closes. I'm gonna send out this analysis right now. Let's do this. All right, so we're looking at gold right now, looking at the trade update. As of right now, price session is still in the same exact zone, same level that I was telling you guys, where we might see that buyers are forming these type of supports since we have broken above these highs over here. We did see that price session already form a minor support, already seeing some type of bullish reaction from it. I'm still overall interested in taking these sells, but the only thing that kind of turns me off is, one, we have broken above these entire supply zone, right? So since we have broken above this entire supply zone and we're still inside this trade and we're still trading above these levels, notice how we just continue breaking above these highs. I'm still going to be holding it, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting down some losses, right? So we're going to cut down some losses right now. Cut down like over, we can say 50% of these losses over here. So right now I'm down $190. So I'm going to cut down some losses for both of these entries. I'm going to send this out on the Telegram to cut down some losses. Currently in a drawdown, manage risk and cut some loss early. Hold runners for now. All right, so send it out right now inside the VIPs. These are the trades that we're currently in right now. Let's see. All right, so we're back. Here's a quick update on the setup that we were in. So gold ended up taking us out of stop loss. Look how it wicked us out, went into profit, hitting over a 101 risk to reward. This is definitely where I would have gotten break even at this point over here. It looks like price action just wicked us out of this trade. Obviously, we're not going to re-enter this market just yet. If we're looking at it at a 1 hour perspective, we do see that price action overall broke above these entire structure, which was our areas of interest, right? We did see that price action worked us out of this trade. We did end up going into a 101 risk to reward. Obviously, this is the point that we have to see what price action does, right? We're not going to enter the market just because we are seeing the bearish reaction that we're looking for, right? Just because price is doing what we wanted to do a few minutes ago doesn't mean that we necessarily have to jump in back in the trade. If we're looking at it from a higher time frame perspective, we can see that price action overall, we have broken above these entire intraday structure, which was our areas of interest, right? Remember, our goal whenever we're looking for these type of sell setups, we want price action to be underneath our zones, right? In this case, we are trading above it. We are seeing the bearish reaction that we want. It sucks that it worked us out a break. I worked us out at stop loss and it's going into profit how we expected. But since we are retesting out this above these 1 hour intraday structure, we have to see what price action does. Again, we are seeing rejection from this entire demand. We had a bullish reaction earlier this New York session, going from the London session to this New York session. We broke above these entire intraday structure. As of right now, price action is currently retesting it. If price action does obviously reject it and starts building above bullish structures over here, then we were wrong overall with this analysis, and then obviously we just simply react and adapt. But since right now we are seeing a bearish reaction how we wanted, the only way for me to actually re-enter this entire market condition, I'm waiting for price action to be underneath these entire or below underneath these entire 1 hour structures over here, which is a supply zone. If price action does manage to close underneath these zones, we're just simply waiting for the break and retest setup so that we can probably give sell an opportunity. But since we have already taken 2 losses for the day, we're not going to be entering another trade. But check this out, explain now exactly how we anticipated. Sucks it just worked us out, but again, it is part of the game. If we take a look here at US 30, it looks like US 30 had a sell-off towards the downside. This was the manipulation that I was telling you guys, right? Notice how we had a strong sell-off towards the downside. There was no good area for us to enter a sell position. I just had this marked up here. It's not counted as a trade. But notice how we had a very strong sell-off towards these zones. We are coming back towards these major demand. Again, notice how price action is rejecting off these zones. We're trading above it. Still nothing clear for us to trade. I was looking for buys above these zones over here. I was looking for sells underneath these zones, which we are currently retesting at the moment. But price action overall does not look good at all. 15-minute time frame, we do have a very strong wick rejection towards these demand. Closed above. That is very sketchy around these areas. This is the zones that we got to be very careful with US 30. I do like that we took out liquidity towards these entire zones over here. So we just got to wait, obviously, for the price action to form correctly. Me personally, I would like to be above these zones over here. I would not like to be underneath these areas. But if it does form any bullish structures around these zones over here, that we can maybe give buy an opportunity. But right now, does not look clean at all. We're trading underneath these lows over here, so that has to be very careful. Looking at it with NAS 100, NAS 100 did the same exact thing. We broke underneath these zones over here where we're looking for sells, or we're looking for buys. Obviously, we're looking for buys above the 21,750. But notice how it just respected this broken structure. You know, price action started selling off in these zones, broke underneath these areas. Remember what I was telling you guys, I prefer always looking for sells at a higher time frame structure. So in this case, since we are rejecting a minor structure and we broke underneath this entire higher time frame structure, we're just waiting to see how price action reacts. If we are seeing the rejection as price action is doing at the moment, then we can look for the opposite opportunity, which will be the sell opportunities, right? But once again, we have rejection towards these entire lows. These lows over here was retested earlier during the New York session market open at 9:30. You guys can see how price action just simply had a bounce from it. We're coming back towards these demand, which as of right now, price action is having the same exact bounce. In this case over here, if I'm looking for buys, I want to be above the 21,700. Anywhere near the 21,700, I'm not looking for any setup. US 30, same exact thing. I'm looking for buys above the 21,300, which will make, well, 42,300, which will make clear, right? So right now it is 12:50. It looks like I won't be entering another trade, especially after taking the loss with gold. I already have 2 losses for the day, so I'm gonna be patient. We're gonna have to see how price action reacts around these areas. I'm not gonna be forcing any other trade. So I'm probably going to be stepping up for the day. We're going to take those 2 losses and we're going to come back tomorrow with the same exact setup. I will update you guys if anything, obviously, if we do take another setup, but that's going to be pretty much for the day. Hope you guys enjoy this video and I will be back tomorrow with another setup.